You know that feeling. Constantly running on empty and maybe feeling guilty the second you try to slow down.
Or maybe the opposite. Things are going great, really great, but you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Exactly. Today, we're diving into a really powerful framework. It challenges that cultural expectation that life should just be this straight line of constant progress.
Yeah, it pushes back hard on that. This deep dive is based entirely on the work of Reuben Juma Onunga. Specifically his concept, the one-third time factor, living fully in joy, struggle, and rest.
And our mission today is really to unpack his core insight. It sounds simple, but it's actually, well, incredibly difficult to internalize.
It really is.
The idea is that life naturally, and maybe even purposefully, divides itself into three essential seasons: joy, struggle, and rest.
And Onunga argues that accepting this rhythm, maybe even embracing it, is the only path to living fully. It fundamentally shifts your expectations, doesn't it?
Totally. The goal isn't just endless happiness or zero hardship.
Right. The central idea is that over the long haul, the years, the decades, your time tends to balance out into these three roughly equal thirds: joy, struggle, rest.
Roughly equal, that's key. It's not some rigid calendar you have to follow day by day.
No, not at all. It's more like a natural observation, a pattern in life's design.
And what really helps me ground this huge life concept is how Onunga brings it down to the micro level. The 24-hour day, he shows how the pattern of our whole life journey is actually mirrored, like right there in our daily rhythm.
Exactly. Just think about your last 24 hours. Maybe yesterday.
Yeah.
Roughly a third of it, right? About 8 hours, give or take, is naturally for rest, sleep.
Yeah, okay.
Then another third is usually consumed by focused work or exertion, building something, producing.
The work part.
The work part. And the final third that's often dedicated to, well, personal time, relationships, eating, learning, maybe moments of genuine enjoyment.
Okay, so you can sort of map it out then. The work or exertion third of the day that connects to life's seasons of struggle.
Makes sense.
And the personal time, the enjoyment part of the day that reflects the life seasons of joy. And the 8 hours for sleep, for renewal. That's basically life's periods of rest.
Precisely. It takes this big abstract idea of life balance and makes it feel almost biological.
Inherent.
Yeah, inherent. I like that. And that's the real utility of this framework. It's not meant to be a strict schedule you force yourself into. It's more a guide for recognizing the season you're actually in.
And living intentionally within that season, using its constraints and its opportunities.
Exactly. So let's dive into the nature of these three essential thirds.
Okay. We have to start with the joy third. This is the good stuff, right? The mountaintop experience. The time when, the wind's at your back, successes seem to multiply, abundance flows more easily. Could be work, relationships, finances.
It's identified clearly as a gift in the framework.
A gift.
Right.
But there's always a but, isn't there? The joy third comes with a specific danger.
Yes. Complacency. That's a big one. When things are easy, we often stop working on the foundations, maybe get a bit overconfident.
Blind to shifts coming.
Right. Or even worse. Sometimes people spend their joyful seasons almost paralyzed by this fear that the good times will be snatched away, so they miss the joy entirely.
So how do you anchor it? How do you actually live the joy? The source emphasizes gratitude. That seems to be the critical skill here.
It really is. There's a beautiful example given, thinking about the Apostle Paul writing to the Philippians, saying he thanked God every time he remembered them.
That's active, isn't it? Not just a passive, oh, thanks. It's actively cultivating gratitude.
Yes, to stabilize the joy, to ensure it doesn't just float away.
And that stability, it leads somewhere else. Generosity.
Absolutely. True joy, according to Onunga, isn't meant to be hoarded. When you're in this season of abundance, the idea is you use it to invest, bless, to build, and to give.
Pouring into others, preparing resources, maybe for the next phase.
Exactly. It's like the soul-feeding personal time of your life, but leveraged for growth for others.
Okay, so from that mountaintop, the framework guarantees we will eventually descend into the struggle third. This feels like the hard sell, right?
It often is.
Modern culture tends to see struggle as, well, failure. It's something to be avoided at all costs. But the framework insists it's essential.
Essential. Because the struggle third isn't just random suffering or punishment. It's described as a forge.
A forge, like for metal.
Yeah. The arena where real character, resilience, humility, wisdom, they get shaped against resistance.
Yeah.
If you constantly try to optimize your life to avoid all discomfort.
Your character stays shallow, fragile.
Pretty much. It lacks depth.
So this is the time of exertion. It mirrors that work third of our daily cycle. It's wrestling with setbacks, maybe illness, maybe loss. The source mentions lessons learned in the fire. Suffering produces perseverance.
Perseverance builds character, and character leads to hope. It's a chain reaction.
Meaning the character you build in the struggle is actually what sustains you later on, maybe even through the next season of joy.
That's the idea. The primary risk here in this third is obviously despair. Bitterness, maybe isolation, or forgetting the small good things, the mercies that are still there even in hard times.
Right. So the wisdom is understanding that strength is built against resistance. You have to kind of let the season do its work, its refining work.
Yes, instead of just trying to escape it prematurely, which often just prolongs it or means you miss the lesson.
Okay, that reframes struggle completely. Not personal failure, but a necessary part of robust growth.
A necessary component.
And naturally, after expending all that energy in the struggle, we arrive at the final third. The rest third. And this is arguably the most challenging for modern people, isn't it? To actually embrace rest.
Absolutely. The rest third is framed as the sacred pause, a deliberate, life-giving reset button.
Not optional.
Definitely not optional. Onunga is very clear. It's necessary for physical, emotional, and spiritual renewal. Without genuine restorative rest, joy loses its sparkle.
And the next struggle becomes
Unbearable, overwhelming. It likely leads to collapse or burnout.
But our culture, it treats rest like idleness, doesn't it? Or wasted time.
Often does.
We're told we only earn rest after complete exhaustion, which then leads to this massive guilt the moment we step away from being productive. How do we fight that?
We have to look at the purpose of rest. According to this framework, rest heals what the noise and friction of life have wounded.
Heals.
Think about Paul again. He used quiet times, even forced stillness like being in prison to go deeper spiritually, to write these profound letters to prepare for whatever was next. Rest is often preparation.
So it's not wasted time, it's investment time.
In a way, yes. When you embrace rest without guilt, you're actually performing an act of trust. You're surrendering control, letting go. It's similar to that necessary surrender when you fall asleep each night.
Yeah.
You have to trust to let go.
Okay, so we have the three ingredients: joy, struggle, rest. But life isn't usually that neat. It's not like three separate boxes you tick off sequentially.
No, definitely not.
Let's talk about how they interplay. The source makes it clear they're complementary. They often overlap.
They really do. You can find moments of joy, real joy, right in the middle of hardship, or find a moment of deep rest, maybe just quiet focus, during a really busy day.
And they flow into each other, feed each other.
That flow is crucial. Joy refuels us, gives us reserves for the struggle ahead. Struggle makes rest feel utterly non-negotiable, right?
Absolutely.
And then genuine rest restores us, gives us fresh energy for the next burst of joy or productivity. Wholeness isn't about keeping them separate. It's about embracing the presence of all three, maybe in different measures at different times.
But this is where people get stuck, isn't it? Especially today. The imbalance trap. This feels like what creates so much dissonance and, frankly, exhaustion.
That's the consequence of fighting the natural rhythm. Think about hustle culture for a second. It's basically an attempt to eliminate the rest third altogether.
Yeah, just power through.
Power through. But if you refuse, rest consistently, you get burnout. Your creativity diminishes. Joy just slowly, painfully erodes.
Okay, that's refusing rest. What about avoiding struggle? Always seeking comfort, immediate gratification.
Well, your growth gets stunted. Your life can feel shallow because you haven't built that forged strength. You need to face real, inevitable challenges. You become brittle.
And clinging too tightly to joy, trying to make it permanent.
That leads to denial. Escapism, maybe? When the season naturally shifts, you panic. You try to outrun the coming difficulty, maybe through constant distraction or desperately trying to replicate past joys that just aren't there anymore.
So the key insight here is that balance isn't achieved by forcing these thirds to be equal on your weekly planner.
Exactly. It's achieved by honoring the natural rhythm over the long term, trusting the larger pattern.
Honoring that rhythm means dealing with the transitions between these seasons. The source calls these the most delicate moments.
They really test our adaptability, our patience, our trust.
So let's look at those shifts. Moving from joy into struggle, say, an unexpected layoff, a health crisis, the advice isn't to ask, what did I do wrong?
No, that's usually counterproductive. Instead, it's about carrying the gratitude, maybe the humility you learned in the joy third, carrying that forward as provision. That positive energy becomes your inner resource for the hard times.
Like fuel in the tank,
something like that.
Okay. And the opposite transition. Moving out of a long struggle into a season of rest. That needs to be intentional too.
Very intentional. You have to consciously release the tension of the battle. You can physically stop working, stop fighting, but if your mind is still locked in that struggle.
Your rest isn't really rest, it's just restlessness. Agitation.
Exactly. You have to consciously, deliberately shed the mantle of the warrior to allow for true healing.
And finally, moving from rest back into joy, or maybe into a new active phase.
That requires courage. Fresh vigor. Avoiding that timidity that might make you hold back because you're afraid the good season won't last, or you don't deserve it yet.
So the ability to move between these phases fluidly, that adaptability, like Paul saying he learned the secret of contentment in any and every situation, that's the goal.
That adaptability is a key indicator of maturity within this framework, yes.
Ultimately, though, navigating all these moving parts, these transitions, these seasons, it requires something deeper, what Onunga calls a spiritual anchor.
It really does. The critical shift in perspective is recognizing that the overarching design, maybe the hand that guides the rhythm, is present in every season, not just the good ones.
So God's presence or purpose doesn't shift with the thirds.
It permeates them. If you can recognize that purpose and value exist in the struggle just as clearly as they exist in the joy, you stop resisting the rhythm quite so much. You start flowing with it. That removes a lot of the deep-seated fear of change.
That brings us towards summing this up. Living a full life, according to this framework. It means leaning into each season without fighting its inherent nature. Laughing loudly when it's time for joy, learning diligently and building resilience when it's time for struggle.
And embracing stillness without guilt when it's time for rest. It's about being whole, not just perpetually happy in every moment.
And when you adopt that longer view, that perspective,
the ultimate measure of your life isn't really about how much total time you had, but how deeply, how fully you lived each third. The balance isn't something we meticulously control day to day.
It's something we have to understand, flow with, trust. Trust the design of this time factor.
Well said.
Wow. That really reframes our relationship with time, with productivity, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Which leads us to a final thought. Something for you, the listener, to carry forward as you think about your own current season. The source reminds us that rest is not something to be earned only after exhaustion,
but something woven into the design from the beginning. It's foundational.
So, since rest is a required component baked into the design,
it raises a crucial question for living intentionally. What intentional act of physical, mental, or perhaps spiritual rest are you resisting right now? Maybe subtly, maybe overtly. And what strength, what resilience might that resistance actually be costing you in your current season?
Something to really ponder. What is that resistance costing you? We've reached the end of this deep dive into the rhythm of joy, struggle, and rest. Thank you for diving in with us.